Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video tour. This is the last of the sessions looking at the new version 5 launch. In the previous sessions we've covered most of the points. The remaining ones are 3, 7 and 8, which is interactive calendar and milestone timelines, actuals, data reporting and Planner Live in browser. So we'll be having a look at those now. Okay, so in the last session we were looking at Planner itself and how it's collecting much more data for us, and that's done through the Planner file. And obviously when we check that back into the system, that data feeds into the main application. It's held in the project controls database, and that's then accessible for us in a whole range of different places. So the first is that it's creating lots of data properties automatically behind the scenes. So if I go and look at my project pick list, I can of course use a view to show a set of data properties that I'm interested in. I have this helpfully set up here, which looks at number of overdue tasks, things like that were produced before, the percentage complete, but now it's also showing me my plan progress to date stats. It's showing me my total budget cost, progress cost, actual cost to date, as those are being calculated through from the tasks, as we saw in the last session, from the assignments on each task, rolled up to create this project level property in terms of financial information. And actually we're using these now in the project statement reports. We're also collecting a whole range of other stats. This is a subset in fact of the planning stats here, and we can see the issue quality counts and the issue quality scores and the number of days lost to and financial cost impact of issues happening. Risk scores, etc., being calculated before. So all this new data is coming through. This allows you to feed it, of course, through into reporting at the project, portfolio, multi-portfolio levels, and we saw some of that actually in the second session, looking at portfolio reporting. So so all this data is being collected and calculated for us. Some of it is also feeding through, of course, as task information into our calendar and milestone timeline views. So if we come in and look at the project tasks, and this information, this type of display is going to be available to everybody. So in the normal sort of way, I come into my task display from a certain perspective, in this case my project tasks, and I see a Gantt chart display, but we'll see there are two other displays possible, calendar and milestone. So I can switch over to calendar and see the information in calendar view. Obviously I've got hover here, we've got hover on, so I can see some of the basic task information, and if I double click I can see the detail of it. Of course it's not editable here in the way that it was in the planner file itself. Now as I mentioned, these follow views, so if I come back and in fact change to the perhaps default view, and we change data range to look at, for example, portfolio tasks, now we'll have a whole load more tasks in our collection. And when I come back to the calendar, we can now see obviously that's a little bit bigger. We've got a couple of tasks running here, and if we come back to some earlier periods, we can see many more running. When we've got too many to display in the day box here, it shows us +1, indicating there's more than one. There's one additional one. If it said +5, we'd have 7, 2 displayed plus the 5 additional ones. This calendar display is just in tasks. It's not showing risk and issue responses in the way that Planner did, but it is allowing me to see that data. Obviously if I switch to week to view, I can see then potentially 10 or 12, depends how big my screen is. In practice how many I can see. I'm on a laptop here, so I don't have a particularly large space for displaying more items, but we can see how that's going to work, fitting those into there. Same thing applies to the milestone chart. I'm running the milestone chart within this particular portfolio, so I'm seeing the data coming through from a range of different project plans here, and in fact we can see that if I just drop that back to project tasks, it slims down to a smaller set. So this is completely interactive. You can flow through these things in the same way as you did before with your Gantt chart, but with these other data types. Now I also wanted to pick out about the calendar. I was saying you can use the calendar here to see items straight away, but you can also use export to get your iCalendar file out. And I can show you what that looks like in Outlook. I've created an iCalendar file, and of course depending on your views, the iCalendar file you create will either have your tasks, the whole program, the whole project, whatever that view and data range is packaging for you. And then what that gives you out is a file like this, and you can sit this alongside your standard inbuilt Outlook calendar to see the information that you need, and you can click on the particular tasks and see that data for that there. So it's allowing you to have your tasks sat within Outlook and immediately available, and notifying you, reminding you about things that are due to start in your normal Outlook way. And like I say, you simply create that by getting the set of data that you want, exporting that file, and you can of course then send that file to your colleagues as well as putting it in the system yourself. So milestone charts, calendars, very useful here. You can also of course get those into your reports, and when we go and run reports, and we saw that earlier in the multi-portfolio report, you now have the ability to select those other display types as well. So that's those areas. We're going to have a look at Planner Live now, where we can also use Planner in the browser rather than, as we did earlier, checking it out as a file, making changes, checking it back in, but we can also use it in the browser. So let's go and have a look at the browser app, and we can see that here. Obviously here I'm using it on a laptop so I can record the screen, but we could be using this from any device that supports a browser and has a connection back to the server, usually over the internet. So I'm in my project here, and you'll see, well, in fact straight away we've got this extra button on here which allows us to go to Planner Live from wherever we are. Now we've brought out the features of Planner which were previously in something that was said something like Edit Plan into its own separate space, and given it a separate color and feel so that you know that you're in the Planner area rather than in the normal area. In fact, also encouraging you to think about using it is when you're here in the File Explorer, when you're looking at other sorts of files, so we've got Excel and Word and things, where obviously we'll check them out to work on them and check them back in or view them. When we come to a file which is an SPN file, you'll see it offers us an additional option, Planner Live. So we could indeed check that file out. I'm on my laptop here, I could check it out, use the Planner application if I had it installed, check it back in again. But I also have the choice of using Planner Live. So if we jump off to Planner Live, we'll see that we come straight into this new area. Planner Live can also be accessed from the main menu and from the icons up here. In fact, if we go back to the main one, we'll see Planner Live appearing all over the place. Different color scheme just tells us we're in a slightly different area, and here we're now working on Planner files. So we've rearranged this to make it much easier for you to get a feel for how to use it. The layout here tells you what you can do. Select your Planner file, check it out, editing it, put it back in again. So it's showing me here the Planner files I have available on this project. This project uses our normal mode for smaller, less complex projects, one Planner file supporting plans, risks and issues. If your project here was using Microsoft Project as its plan and separate risk and issue planner files, you would see two things here, a risk register.spn and an issue register.spn. And as you check out each file, of course assuming nobody's already working on it, now it's checked out, it tells me that I could work on tasks, risks, issues, I can manage resources, I can look at options if I want to. When I'm ready, I can check it back in from here. So this is, just same as it was before, I guess, but it's laid out in a much easier, more intuitive way of interacting with it. So when I come to the tasks area, I can see my current plan. It's the one we were looking at earlier. In fact, through the Planner application, I've got my new task today down here, which I can come in and I can change its percentage complete, perhaps up to 90% like that. And we'll see that reflected, and of course I can work on anything else that I need to before I check it back in, so I can work on the risks as well, and the issues. The risk rating colouring is happening here. That's a new thing in Planner as well. Of course, when I come to the issues and I come and edit my issue, I'll also be able to work on the impact data in the way that we looked at for the Planner application. So these things are lined up, and in the way that we do with the browser in general, it's about doing the day-to-day things. That's the case with Planner Live in the browser as well. It's about doing the day-to-day things. So we're not here setting up all the configuration of lookup lists and things of that type. We're just working on adding and updating data. Now, as part of the adding and updating data, that includes updating our statuses, which we can do in the same way, and commentaries. So we can update those here as well. So somebody meaningfully contributing to the Planner file for the types of data that you want, can do all of that through this browser interface. Now, one of the things we can then do with Planner in terms of managing resources into it is that because the file is essentially checked out and held on the server and then interacted with through the browser, we have it on the server and checked out at the same time, and therefore we can inject additional resources. Now, we've always been able to use this resource list here to add individual users and edit them. So I could have said I want to add a new user, and then I could have edited that new user and give it a name like new person and an initial NP and a cost per hour like that, and save that, and I've got that data available now, so I can pick that person from the list in my resourcing areas of tasks, risks and issues. We also though can now do a bulk add, so we can use the facility here to query the database for particular things we're interested in. So I might be interested in all assigned resource names, so these are all names for people on the server who are correctly tied between a resource name and a user. So I'm going to add all of those people to my potential list here. So these are all people that I might then choose to add into my actual resource list in the project. I can simply go through and I can manually add some extra ones in if I want to. I can just type them in, or I can take some out as well, like that, until I've got the list how I want it, and then I can add that list to the plan like that. Those people will be injected into here. If we want to, we can create a standard cost rate and generate initials from name, etc. Now it won't duplicate them, so if we've already got somebody present here, then it won't add them in again, but it allows me to automatically add to my file that big group of users. Now in Planner, the application, you can copy and paste a list in, but you've got to go to the server, get that list from somewhere, bring it across, paste it into the Planner file. This is doing this in a much more joined up way, and you can build your sort of proto list up here by adding the different possibilities here: login names, display names, resources names on the project, etc., and port those into your Planner file. So that's a really useful thing for building those resource lists up rather than having to do them by hand. You can also go and identify particular people here and find out which tasks and risks and issues they're allocated to in the project plan. If you're looking to find particular people nice and quickly and see what their involvement is, this is quite a popular admin type feature in the main Planner application, so we've included it here as well. So going beyond perhaps just the sort of simpler things of updating the data into perhaps slightly more sophisticated areas of resource list management. So Planner Live allows you to do all that sort of thing, and then you can simply check the file back in, and its data will of course be updated automatically into the project controls database, and you can see of course the data in the way that you did before in tasks, risks, issues here, so we can come through, see that current plan and all the other data associated with it using our views and filters and resource charts and those other such things. But this is about us being able to update that planner information in the way that we need to meaningfully, to support the work that's going on the project from anywhere. And as I say, smartphones, people updating their percentage completes, that sort of thing, nice and easily, and like I say, particularly easy to pick up now with this, bringing it out as a focused Planner Live thing. Okay, so that's the end of this session on the extra Planner features and integrating those into the main application, and in fact the end of the detailed sections on the new 5.0. To remind you, that's going to apply to Small Team Edition, Enterprise Edition, Live Edition. So all of those different platforms have the same new features available in them, and that's available to existing customers via upgrade and to new customers from now on. So hopefully you'll find that really interesting. If you've got any further questions, do come back and ask us, and we'll be happy to go through that with you on a one-to-one basis. Thank you very much for your time.